Yeah, what's good, everybody? New segment. Every time there's a game, a few hours before, I'm going to be jumping on to do a preview. Sometimes there'll be guests, sometimes I'll be with Will or Greg or both, and then sometimes I'll be on my own. So, excuse me if it's a bit clunky. Need to get back into the swing of things of doing some solo pods, man. It's been a hot minute since I've done any of these. It's not always the easiest thing to do. But anyway, we're going to jump in. We've got the Celtics versus Grizzlies. Boston looking to bounce back after a tough loss against the Lakers. Also, please, guys and girls, anybody watching, make use of the chat. Give me some people to respond to. Let's get this conversation going. Make it easier for me while I'm on my own. Celtics looking to bounce back from a tough loss against the Lakers. No LeBron, no AD. Somehow you managed to just absolutely drop the ball, lose by 9 points. That's not the point, though, right? You shouldn't have been losing in the first place. It was just a really, really bad game all the way through. Looking to bounce back, coming up against the Grizzlies, who are also just riddled with injuries, and we'll get to that in a moment. You got the Celtics coming up against Marcus Smart, who won't be playing, but he'll be in the building, so there'll be all the emotion there. We'll touch on Marcus Smart as well. But I think the first thing we all want to see, right, is the Celtics coming into this game locked in, ready to beat a team that they should be beating. This is a team just like LA. They're missing their best players. It should be an easy game. It's going to be a trap game. You're going to be testing the Celtics in terms of commitment, willingness to actually play hard rather than just rely on talent. It's going to be testing Joe Mazzulla to make sure that everybody stays locked in. It's the trap game of all trap games. The worst thing is you're coming off of a game which was kind of a trap game in itself. And there's just going to be a lot of tests that this team need to come through. This should be a blowout. Like, if they've still got the starters on the court midway through the fourth, even coming into the fourth, then something didn't really go right. You're talking the best team in the league versus a team that really is probably trying to figure out how they can get a decent draft pick following everything that's gone on. They even traded away Steven Adams earlier this week. So if we start with looking at the injury report, I mean, that's kind of where this whole game kind of comes from, right? So if we look at the injury report right here, this is the wrong here. So if we look at the injury report right here, and let me just zoom in real quick before we go into that. So as I zoom in, as I said, it's going to be clunky for today because I'm still figuring this out, being solo. Okay, so you got Santi Aldama as questionable. Desmond Bain is out. Brandon Clark is out. Jaren Jackson is out. John Conchar, rumored Celtics target, questionable. Jake LaRavia out. John Morant out. Victor Oladipo, who came over to Memphis in part of that Stevens Adams trade, out. Derrick Rose, questionable. Smart, out. Tillman, questionable. Vince Williams Jr., questionable. And Zaire Williams, out. So when you look at that, and you're talking about trap games, this is what I'm getting at. They've got pretty much no one. They're running on fumes. Their two-way guys will be playing. There's a couple of options available, but they don't really have anything that should be giving the Celtics any problem as long as they stay focused, stay locked in. Boston will be without Jaylen Brown, who's out. JD Davison doesn't really feature anyway, so it's not like we need to worry about him. Cornette's available. This is the first game in 3. This is the 4th now, so he missed the last 3 games with injury. Coming into this game, give you a bit of a boost off the bench. Quater hasn't been terrible. Cornette's a clear upgrade at this point, I think, personally. I don't know whether you agree. Again, jump into the comments and let me know. You can let me know in the Twitter comments. Just click into the video. You'll have like a chat box pop up. I can respond to the comments there too. Personally, I'm all in on Luke Cornette over Quater. That's just where I'm at with this right now. I mean, Quater's been great. Like, defensively, I think that there's a lot to be desired. He's still foul prone. Positioning isn't great, but his size is good. If anyone reads the 10 takeaways that I do, the last one I didn't write one after the Lakers game because I had some family stuff to take care of, but I wrote a shout out to who's done that one. I think it was Oliver Fox. Shout out Oliver Fox for taking care of that one. But the game before that, I think it was the Pacers game. I wrote about how Quater was timing his blocks a bit better, jumping off 2 feet, slowing down, making sure that he got the angle, making sure the ball was leaving the offensive player's hands first. So we're seeing developments. He's a two-way guy. He's your 4th big in the rotation. Expecting fireworks from him isn't really what's going to happen right now, especially when you look at like what Luke Cornette brings in terms of the way he screens, the way he runs the floor, just how patient he is, the willingness to pass. There's just a bit more fluidity, a little bit more polish to his game. So having him back, to me, is a boost. I know some people are completely out on Luke Cornette, and there'll be a time and a place to discuss that. We're coming up to the trade deadline. Yes, I want Andre Drummond. I think that makes sense. Shoot me if you don't agree. If you do agree, then obviously let me know in the comments as well. We can do a video on that. But overall, Luke Cornett coming back to me is a plus. Do you really need him in a game when you're playing the fourth string Grizzlies? Probably not. No. Minutes restriction, if he is fine, it's not going to be a game changer either way. But I think that it's important to have at least the majority of your rotation in place. So that's pretty much the injury report all wrapped up. I'm not too concerned, to be honest with you, coming into this game. I'm not concerned. I look blotchy as hell, though, man. It's warm as shit in this house. Anyway, sorry. I do apologize. Yeah, so I'm not too concerned at all. I don't think that there's a reason to be worried about facing Memphis, but I do think that if Boston lose, the TD Garden is not going to be a fun place to be this evening. The fans are not going to be pleased. Everybody's kind of looking forward to that Marcus Smart return. I'm looking forward to seeing Marcus Smart on the sidelines. He's not playing, so that kind of takes a little bit of the pop away, but he's going to be honored with the Heroes Among Us award. He's going to be waving to the crowd, and the Celtics are going to want to show him what he's missing, right? Even if he's not playing, there's still that kind of like, yo, you got traded, but this is what's going to happen now. You're going to have to watch us just absolutely smoke the Grizzlies, or the Grizzlies, because obviously we know this isn't really the Grizzlies team that Smart was traded to. This is the oh shit, everything fell apart, and this is what we've got left. But Marcus Smart is returning. Fans are talking about they're going to be bringing tissues to the arena. I don't know if anyone else is doing that. I've seen a few people in group chats that I'm in or on the Discord channel. Shout out to the Discord channel. Everybody go and show some love to the Discord channel. But overall, man, Smart coming back is great. It's going to be a real good feel good story. It's probably the biggest storyline coming into this game. That and winning, obviously bouncing back from that Lakers loss. I know everybody's saying that the Celtics have sucked recently. It's been a bad stretch. Obviously, if you're watching this live, you're either following me on Twitter or YouTube. But I did tweet out this morning that the Celtics are, this is from Cleaning the Glass as well. So let me just pull up the tweet. Just kind of like a little clarification here. Cleaning the Glass does filter out garbage time minutes. So these numbers may be a little bit different on NBAstats.com or wherever you're getting your numbers. Celtics are third in offense, fifth in defense on the season. The last 2 weeks, what we're calling a bad stretch of basketball, which hasn't actually been that bad. The results haven't been great, but it hasn't been a bad stretch. They're 13th in offense, 13th in defense with a plus 2.6 point differential. So that on average, they're scoring 2.6 points more than they're letting up per 100 possessions. So you're telling me that a bad stretch of basketball, a bad stretch, like this team not playing well at all, is slightly outside the top 10 in defense and offense. If that's a bad stretch, sign me up all day long, because one of the worst things for me personally that I hate to see is like an elite offense with a trash defense or an elite defense with a trash offense. If you've got that parity and you're around that top 10 area and you're top 10 area in both, you're solid, man. I'm trusting that overall long term to figure shit out. So if that's the bad stretch, like, yeah, dude, there's no need to worry here. Not for me anyway. I mean, I don't know if you're worried. Again, the comments are open, so you can let me know if you're worried. I'm not tripping over 13th in offense, 13th in defense over the last 2 weeks. Still sitting at third and fifth on the season. Yeah, I'm not worried at all. But you're coming up against a team that have got nothing to lose, and it's going to be a young team, so they won't know when they're beat. They'll be full of energy. Boston need to come in, opening tip, execute their plays, play hard, secure the rebounds, punch them in the mouth first, get control of the game, and then the hard part, keep control of the game. Don't let a run from Memphis get you down. Don't let some bad calls take you out of the game. Just execute, focus. This is a team you should be blowing out. Yeah, okay, no JD Davison. I want to see some Creighton minutes in the fourth just because you've got no need for anyone else to play. I want to see some Lamar Stevens and O'Shea Brissett, not because you're trying new things to try and find a spark, but because you've got no reason to play the main guys. So this is an easy game. Usually these previews will be longer. This is me just kind of getting into the swing of things, getting the feel for things. I'll probably bring up some more graphics and stuff and be a bit more prepared. But I just wanted to test this out, kind of get a little feel for what it's going to be like when I do these solo ones. It's hard. There we go. We got somebody on the comments. This makes my life easier. So shout out Ben. Joe said the team had to address some issues with the coaches and players being out of sync with the early clock offense. We'll look for the signs of improvement there. See, that makes a lot of sense, right? Early clock offense, for anybody that's kind of wondering what Joe means by that, is that's just going to be your early offensive actions, your early pitch aheads, your 21 actions, your wide actions, I like to call them quick. Anything like that is kind of what Boston run early in their offense. They like to run some slice actions in transition, some drag screens. So obviously the players were doing one thing, the coaches wanted the other, or vice versa. And that can lead to some issues because then you're flowing into something that may or may not work. I'd be down to see how that changes things. And what I'd be interested in for me, I don't know if anybody else would find this interesting. If you do, we can always go and do like a little online watch party, is watch this game through, kind of take note of the early actions they do, then go back and see what early actions they did against the Lakers and see kind of what the differences are, where the nuances are, were they out of sync on the actions they were running, or who was running them, or where players were positioned on them. Was the spacing not right? To me, that's kind of the interesting side of hoops. If anybody wants to kind of do like a little playback room and we can dive into that, just let me know. That'd be dope. Ben, I appreciate you, man. You saved me because I was floundering, dude. I'm not even going to lie. We got Austin 316. I hope, yeah, they're stone cold one. easy win for the Celtics. They need to play team basketball. Yeah, too much ISO board against this Grizzlies team probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because you should be able to win just on talent and scoring ability. But it's about building those habits, right? As Ben mentioned, it's about being in tune with what the coaches want, running actions, the way the coaches want them run, the way you practiced in practice, the way you drill them. If you need to go ISO, the Grizzlies should have no business being able to try and stay in front of you. I'd be down for more team-centric basketball, some kick out, some driving kick. So everybody who follows me knows I'm a sucker for a nice executed half-court set, maybe some early offense. But mainly for me, it's going to be defense, right? This Celtics team, without Jaylen Brown, who has kind of been a tone setter defensively this season, along with Porzingis, but Brown's kind of been more vocal, more physical about it. Without Brown, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of look to set that defense. I'd expect them to run with a double big lineup without Brown. There's an argument for Sam Hauser being in there, but you don't really need an offensive punch in this game. You need to be able to kind of stay level, and Horford will give you that. He'll give you that veteran leadership. He'll be able to quarterback the defense a little bit more, and then you can have Luke Cornett step up into a bigger role, or you can split minutes if Cornett's on a restriction and give Quater some time. So it just depends how you do it. Sam Hauser there wouldn't be a bad choice. Ben Valis saying Jordan Walsh's first NBA book. It's not in the third quarter. This should be a halftime blowout. Sit the starters. Just let Jordan Walsh just go crazy. But yeah, I'd be down. Fourth quarter being more realistic. I know Joe likes to keep the starters out there until the game is beyond doubt, which is fine. You know, I mean, you've had a couple of days rest. You want to kind of knock some of that rust off. Maybe it's a bit of a slow start from Boston as they're kind of getting themselves back into it. Maybe it's a hot start, but I'd be down for some Jordan Walsh minutes and some buckets. Hopefully it's a free corner free. Came into the league kind of just a defensive specialist, flashed on three-point shooting during the summer league. Then we haven't really seen much because obviously he's been down in Maine developing. I'd like it to be a free just to give us that kind of like free and the excitement for the future. Yeah, I'd be down. Got Joe back on here. Joe lives and dies by the three-point shot. Would like to see some paint points. I think this narrative is actually one that, for me at least, has kind of been proven wrong in recent months. The game against Indiana was a really good example of that, where Boston went to the rim more, they pressured more, they scored more interior points than they did perimeter points. They had more interior attempts than they had perimeter attempts. A lot more post actions. I think they're doing more in the mid range with JB because he's got those hot spots around the elbows. You're feeding Tatum in there more. One of your primary sideline actions is to run a slice action to get Tatum into the post. They're running a lot of wedge. So I definitely see that, you know, that I'd like them to take a few less threes a game. There's still a high level focus on threes. But at the same time, like, yeah, I think there's been a little bit of a shift there. I kind of credit Sam Cassell and Charles Lee for that more than what I do Joe, because we didn't really see that last season. But yeah, I can see that. I think that they're definitely adjusting. Whether that adjustment continues, I don't want them to go too far one way or the other. But I do think you could bring those threes down by 3 to 4 attempts per game, and you'd probably be a little bit healthier in terms of shot distribution, shot selection, shot location. And that might be able to put some more points on the board. My biggest issue is when you can see the threes aren't falling, when your perimeter jumpers aren't falling, and you're still firing away. That's when I kind of push against the analytics, because the analytics will tell you every shot is its own individual entity. So there's no such thing as rhythm and feel because math doesn't buy into all that stuff. Yeah, no, I don't believe that. Like, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. And if the entire team doesn't have it from deep, screw what the analytics are telling you, because there's some things that the analytics can't factor for. And then you go to the rim, get that lid off, get some momentum going, get some rhythm, and then try your luck again from the perimeter later in the game. I'm not one for being like, oh, well, every shot's its own entity. You miss 10, the 11th might go in. Nah, fuck that. You miss 10, go to the rim, dude. Figure that shit out later. Get some points on the board. Good points. I hope the team can stay relatively healthy all season. Yeah, I like what they're doing with the Kristaps Porzingis Al Horford duo on back-to-backs. Sit KP on the first night, sit Al on the second night. Keep both healthy. I don't think it's that KP needs to sit. I think it's just more of a focus on making sure that KP is healthy come the playoffs. And I know it's giving the KP haters, the people that were against this, kind of ammo, like, oh, he's not playing as much as what you'd want. He's missed a bunch of games. Yeah, he's missed a few, some of them through injury, some of them through coaching decisions. And obviously you have to list that as an injury because of the resting rule. So yeah, I'm happy with the way they're treating KP. I'm happy with the Horford rotation on back-to-backs. Tatum and Brown, you always worry, right? Tatum's wrist still gets strapped up. He opted against having surgery during the summer. Hopefully everybody stays healthy. I was worried about Derek White all last season. Not Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon all last season. Now this season, one of the people I worry about and hope to God stays healthy is Derek White because of that connecting role he plays. I think he's such an important piece for this rotation. Last one, then I'm going to wrap up for the day. Do I see any trades by the trade deadline? Honestly, I don't know. The ones that I see, I don't like. I'm not a fan of the John Conchar trade. I saw Jason Tate floated around the other day. To me, like, what does he give you that Brissett's not giving you and Lamar Stevens is not giving you? I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen a bunch of Tate films, so it's not like I can even give you a legitimate answer. But he's not a perimeter scorer. He's a defensive-minded guy, bit energy, he can score interior. I think Brissett gives you that same shit. You've still got an open roster spot. Maybe you wait to see what shakes loose in the buyout market, because you can use a TPE on a player on the buyout market, if I remember correctly, as long, again, because of the second apron, as long as they were not earning more than the non-taxpayer MLE, which is around about 12.3 million. Dario Saric would be great, but he's been a big part of what the Warriors have been doing this season. I'm not sure what they'd want back in return, considering he's one of their only big men. So they'd need to find themselves more size before giving up on size. I know they've kind of switched to that new front court where they've got Draymond as the 5, they're running Wiggins and Kuminga at the 3 and the 4, and they've looked a lot better since doing that. Kevon Looney's kind of stepped into that backup big man role for the energy and the rebounding. But then behind them, you've got Saric and Trace Jackson-Davis, and the amount of lineups that occurs throughout there this season, predominantly through injury and suspension, but also because things just haven't been clicking. I'd be really curious to see what Golden State would want back, because they'd be giving up a valuable piece in terms of size that they don't really have too much backup on. But he would be the ideal guy, right? Can hit his threes, runs a lot of dribble handoffs, can screen well, can roll well, can rebound. I like him. I think it would be a really good pickup. I'm just not sure whether the Warriors would be willing to part with somebody that, not all the time, but when he's on the floor, and he's on the floor consistently, he's been really important to what them guys do over there. So, yeah, I'd like him, but I just don't see what Boston would give up back, right? It's not like you can trade Quater because he's on that two-way. You'd have to be sending probably Cornet. And then it's, are you getting a huge upgrade because Cornet already knows the system, already knows his teammates, already plays well within the system? There's no bedding in period. You've got to hope that Saric comes in, hits the ground running, stays healthy. He's also older than what Cornet is. So there's a few things there. Obviously, Saric is a better player. I don't think any of us are going to deny that. But it's just terms of fit and surroundings, right? Sometimes it's not about the talent. It's about who's around you. What we got here. Keep up the good work. Always appreciate your streams and videos. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. This was tough. Not going to lie. It's going to take a hot minute to get used to being solo on some of these and just just riffing. The comments help a lot. They keep it flowing. So I do appreciate you tuning in, Ben. If you're still watching, I appreciate you dropping comments too. That's going to wrap me up for today. I'll get better at this. It's been probably a year since I soloed a pod, so it's going to take a hot minute for me to get back. But I do appreciate everyone who tuned in. Appreciate everyone that's going to watch this back on the recap, like on the playback. And I'll be back again on, is it Wednesday the Celtics play again? Let me just check. There's a few days off. I remember being shocked when I was like, damn, they just had a few days off. So they play today. And then they play again, is it Wednesday? Yeah, they play Wednesday, Atlanta on Wednesday. So I'll be back on Wednesday with a preview, and I'll have some other things between now and then up on the channel, along with Will, Greg, and myself, and some Green with Envy content too. Until then, everybody have a good one. Enjoy the game. Don't get too emotional over Marcus Smart. Like, have your 5 minutes kind of being sad and being happy you see him, and then just, competitive nature, be like the Celtics and just want to prove and show that, we're still good over here. We miss you, but we're still doing good. Until then, everybody have a great one, and I'll catch y'all soon.